listening to Unity in Our Community on Radio Cardiff 98.7 FM.
Hi and welcome back to Unity in Our Community. That was brilliant with Hold Up Crew. They've gone now, and now I've got another guest. Just so busy today. Welcome, Eamon from Splo-down. You are the community ambassador.
Hi, Jess.
Hi, thanks so much for coming in today. It was pretty last minute, but we are big fans here of the Splo-down, and tell our audience, our listeners, all about it. What's it all about, Splo-down?
Of course. So Splo-down Food Co-op is a food co-op, and the name is just a combination of Splott and Adamstown, but we're also part of the Tremorfa community. And what we do, we're members. We sign up to this co-op with a yearly membership fee. We pay what we can from £3 onwards a year. That's how we keep the co-op going. And as a co-op, we get vegetables from wholesalers to sell into veg boxes that we have a sliding scale price model on. So once you become a member, you can get a veg box for £1, £3.50 or £4.50, depending on what you can afford. And you can also get dried goods that we sell at wholesale profits. So we're a completely not-for-profit organisation. And our aim is to give our neighbours in Splott, Tremorfa and Adamstown good, fresh and affordable food every week. And we do the stall on Wednesday outside the Oasis Courtyard from 5 to 7 p.m.
It's brilliant, and I think never needed more right now. Mm-hmm. But you did start a couple of years ago, you said. Did you say it was in the pandemic it started, or?
Yes, there was a great need because everyone was so isolated. So there was a great need in the community to meet with each other. And of course, because it's a stall, everyone comes face to face. It's an outdoor stall, so it was quite a COVID safer way of getting vegetables as well. And of course, the cost of living crisis had already started hitting people really hard during the pandemic. But that's how it started. But we're still continuing not just as a reaction to the pandemic, but proactively building something that is alternative to our current food systems, which, as we know, are not socially or environmentally sustainable at the moment.
Absolutely. And I feel that it's so important that we address food security, especially in the wake of this climate emergency that we're in. I don't know why nobody's acting like it's an emergency, because the food won't be there if all the crops fail. I think people live in this kind of they don't know where their food comes from. They just obviously with Brexit, that didn't help things with supplies coming into the country. It's very difficult, but we do import a lot of food in the UK, don't we?
Yes, absolutely. And we import food actually that can be easily grown in the UK. So a part of our goal is to encourage people to look into community allotments and look into, gardens and growing their own food. So earlier this year, you might know, we had the seed swap event in April, and I
love this. It's so, I think I'm just so excited about these seed swap things and all the things that are going on in Splott. I love Splott because
Yeah, it was really great because we partnered with this community allotment called Stargar Allot. They got loads of seedlings and saplings, and everyone just came, got them, took them home. Because you're right, the way it stands, our food comes from monocultures and obviously seeds that are trademarked. It's really bizarre to think that food and crops are owned by companies, and which makes it even more important to have an alternative economy, because when it's not a matter of if, it's when our current food systems collapse, we need something we can fall back on that's actually sustainable.
100%. I am with you, and I have grown a few little things in my backyard that's quite small, but that's why it's great. We've got railway gardens as well, and we've got more places. But I think that people don't realise how important it is, even if you just grow some tomatoes or you're actually doing something that benefits the ecosystem, because you're not buying that tomato that's been imported from Spain, traveled all this way. You're cutting out the plastic, and also if you've got heirloom seeds, you're creating more seeds.
Yes.
I think in 2023, gardening and taking control of your food has become a radical act.
Yes.
And it's a rebellious act.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, next week we're having our community summer harvest sharing party. So, like the little tomatoes you've grown in your back garden,
Oh,
I've
you can
actually
bring them,
grown
yeah.
some as well.
Yeah.
I actually got one of the tomatoes from the seed swap. So there, I'm picking them. And this is, again, one of the ways to encourage people to see just how much you can get from your garden. So people are going to be bringing their produce, anything you can eat, or even flowers from your gardens and allotments, and bring them to share with the community. Because while it's great and it's a great step we need to take, unfortunately, it's not accessible to loads of people.
Yeah.
It's only accessible to those who have a garden and also who have the time to dedicate to it. Loads of people live in flats or have too many commitments to be able to grow food. And I'm hoping through this harvest that those who are able to, they can share the bounties of our earth with the rest of the community.
Yeah, that's really, really good. A friend shared, she brought me quite a lot of stuff. It hasn't all worked out. I did go on holiday and then the slugs ate my cucumber, which was a bit sad, but I'm sure they enjoyed it. But I do have some cherry tomatoes that I've actually been eating. But my other bigger tomatoes, I think I did them too late. But yeah, it's never too, I'm not a great gardener, as you can hear, but and I have a very small yard, so I just have some pots and things. But yeah, you're right, not everybody has access to it. So I think the spaces in our own communities, wherever we can grow food, then we can try and do that. And also have these heirloom seeds that aren't branded, that aren't owned by a corporation, which I find outrageous.
Yes, it is absolutely outrageous that a made-up body, a corporation, can own food. And that's why a lot of people are really going for getting organic veg. So obviously, as you know, we don't currently sell organic veg at the stall because, of course, there's loads of logistics to that, and it's currently we've not found a way to do that without compromising affordability, which is of course a huge goal of ours as well. But the thing with organic vegetables is it's debated whether or not they're healthier for you, but it's definitely healthier for the plants and the species themselves.
And the soil is
the soil,
because the soil is very, very important because all the fertilizers and pesticides, they destroy the fauna and flora in the soil.
Yes.
So that's one of the reasons. And also, we ingest all of the Roundup and all whatever's been sprayed on it. And that's why, obviously it's always more expensive though to buy organic food, which is a bit sad really. But I just think all food should be organic myself. But, because why it's just food, I recently watched something very interesting on Netflix. It was called A Big Little Farm or something. And it was about this whole journey of this family in California and how they restored the whole site that they bought. They bought a 200-acre farm. They got investors and they did natural farming and they restored the ecosystem completely.
It's called rewilding, isn't it?
Yeah, but it took them 7 years and then nature rebalanced itself. Really interesting. You should watch it if you're into localization and restoring the ecosystems.
Absolutely. I was also read, I think it's Entangled Life. It's a book. I forgot who the author is, but this author was saying that actually the soil in the UK is some of the most nutrient rich and diverse soils in the world, because when we think of diversity and animal diversity, we think of it on a larger scale, diverse animals, birds and plants. But actually there is a massive world in our soil as well that's too tiny for us to see. And it's really important for that to be diverse because it's the soil where our nutrients come from. If the soil is unhealthy, the food is also unhealthy, and we might be having the same sized apple or tomato, but 20, 30 years ago, they would have been a lot more nutritious per gram than they are today because, loads of nutrients are being drained. And these days, there's a huge so many people are having celiac, so gluten intolerance, dairy intolerance, all sorts of intolerances to food options. That's unprecedented. And a lot of the pointers are going towards the fact that our food system is just simply not healthy for us, not healthy for the planet. For the people that are producing this food, it's not healthy as well. So I'm from Pakistan, where a lot of food is grown that's imported here. And one of the huge issues, especially for women, is that they have to go to these farms and just spray this pesticide all over it, and they don't have safety equipment, they don't have the education to know how it's affecting them, and then a few months to a few years later they're in hospital because of this very dangerous job. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's terrible when you start to think like that. So I think it's amazing what you guys are doing, because you're right here on our doorstep. I mean, there's so many brilliant community projects in Cardiff. That's why I named the show Unity in Our Community, because we want to highlight them. But not only are you looking after the people by helping people to have healthy, nutritious, affordable food, but you're also helping the planet as well by trying to, make the food system better. So what's next for Splo-down, and how many members do you have now?
So officially we have 500 members at least, maybe
Fantastic.
A few more. Yeah. As for like active volunteers, we're usually like a cohort of 20 to 30 people at a time are active, not just with the stall, but with everything behind the stall. And obviously, my role is paid for because we recently got funding. This is quite new for us. We hadn't applied for funding before. It's completely like self-funded.
Yeah.
So that funds my role, but everyone else has, and obviously before this role, we all worked voluntarily. And what's next for the co-op is that obviously we have this event next week on Wednesday. So anyone around Splott, Adamstown and Tremorfa between 5:30 and 7:30, we'll have some music and free food alongside our stalls, so we can tell people more about this.
That sounds nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what's happened is that we've gotten a much bigger lottery grant, and we want to have a permanent location. We want to spend it on making Splo-down Food Co-op more sustainable. And obviously we would really like the input of all of our community, what they want in the future of Splo-down as a food co-op that like as such not serves the area in the sense that like we're a charity that are giving away to the people, but serves the area as in that Splo-down is made of this community and is giving back to this community.
By the community, for the community.
Exactly. And we really want to know what people want to see with like the decisions that we make for the co-op. We want it to represent our community at large, especially those members of our community that are not as easily or as broadly represented as the others. That's a huge thing that's next for us. We're also part of the Food Cardiff network. And they are wanting to run some projects later this year into the winter to try and partner up people's with their allotments and gardens, and trying to like, connect all of those people together so that we can gather stuff. And, but yeah, this is, you'll hear more about this in the winter when it actually happens, but we're still in the planning stages. Very, very exciting stuff to improve the community more, hopefully.
Yeah, that's great. Yes, I'm just sitting here with my long COVID cough.
No.
Shout out to anyone who's got long COVID. It's a pain. So I'm just going to play a tune now, and we'll be back, and we'll find out a little bit more about Splo-down. Oh, welcome back. That was Green Tea Peng and a Soul Boy remix. You know I love that one. Love Green Tea Peng. And so we've been talking to the community ambassador from Splo-down, which is our local food co-op in Splott. I think it's amazing what you guys are doing, and you are open every Wednesday, isn't it?
Yes, every Wednesday, the Oasis Centre at 69B Splott Road at the courtyard from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Yeah, and you are having a lovely event with some music. Tell us quickly about the artists that are playing.
Of course. So next week on Wednesday the 16th, we'll have our normal stall starting at 5, but alongside from 5:30, we'll have some free food from Things on Toast, who usually operate in Railway Gardens. Some of you may have already tried them. And our very, very special musical guests are Incorrigible Girl, which is a project by Frances Bolly. She is a Splott-based queer artist and singer-songwriter. I'm very, very excited to have her perform. I've worked with her before. Very clever and just very, very creative. So excited for my friends in the co-op to hear her. And we'll also have Ayub Bukhalfa, who is a member of the Oasis One World Choir, and he's also a queer artist of color, and he's done a lot of community work and advocacy for other queer people, especially immigrants and asylum seekers. And he has a mesmerizing voice. I heard him perform once for a Glitter Cymru thing, and when I knew that he was a part of the Oasis One World Choir, I was like, we have to have everyone see him.
That's amazing. Okay, so if you want to find out all about it, look up Splo-down. Get down to Splott Road either tonight or next Wednesday, 5 till 7 every week. Get involved and in your community. And its time is up now. Oh my gosh! If you want to see me play, I'm playing tonight at the Moon at 7 p.m. for Cardiff People Assembly to raise money for food poverty. And I'll leave you with this track. I will be playing it later. So if you're around in town, get down to the Moon, and I will see you next week. Take care. You've been listening to Unity in Our Community.